Spring was great. I thought we had offensively, we accomplished our goals. Defensively, we had a great spring. They competed. We got a veteran team. I think a lot of teams can say that this year with the amount of guys coming back, and we got it done. We got all 15 in. They had spring break. We came back. Finals week's next week, so they came back. We did testing, kind of get our numbers ready for the summer, so we know what their speeds are right now, and their max scores in the weight room, and we're getting ready for June. NCAA has kind of opened the calendar back up to normal recruiting. It'll be the first time we're hopefully able to have recruits on campus in June. First time in 15 months. I think it's like 15 months since we've had somebody here to visit. So it'll be exciting. June will be a crazy month, an exciting month. It also gives us time here in May to continue recruiting and really do some football stuff, because we're all in the office. We're rarely in the office this much together. And so we've been able to get a lot of work done. So it's a good time. I'm glad the guys are getting a break right now. They'll be back after a week after finals for their summer training, and we'll go from there. So it's a fun time right now. Questions?
Coach, yeah, I always want to know what you learn, during spring ball. I know that's a very broad question.
Yeah.
But usually, you get a better feel for something after spring ball. What was that this year?
Oh man, there's a couple. I think we approach spring ball at this point a lot different than a lot of teams, because it is literally an experimental time to try things, to try new personnels, to try new sets, to try new plays, to try to get better at the things that we want to get better at, to have better answers the next year when we face the things that gave us struggles this year. I think that's one of the reasons you see it's just more from an offensive perspective now. So we had a great plan of going into the things that gave us trouble, the things we needed to get good at to counteract those things. And we've been getting stronger and stronger every single year as we continue to rack up the miles on different types of pass concepts. What we're going to let Caleb do as he develops. Caleb had an unbelievable spring. I mean, he had a great fall, don't get me wrong, but we're continuing his process, and I put him in some very unique situations to let him grow, and let him call some plays, which he's never done before, which is a great thing to do. And so I think we got a lot of offensive questions answered, to put players in situations, to see if they can win one-on-one matchups and stuff. So I think I like some of our personnel adjustments that we worked on, a couple more things we can do in the passing game with Caleb, some new run schemes that I feel like we really majored in, and that won't be like that way in the spring. But in the fall, we'll get back to more of our normal balance of plays. But we really try to work on the things that we're trying to add to our offense or trying to add to our defense. We had a couple unique tweaks on defense, two in particular that I think can make a difference in the fall for us. They're not far off from what we do. It's just a different process of how to get to certain coverages, certain blitzes, how to play certain coverages. And then obviously we had one new player. Obviously, Deshaun Bustle moved from offense to defense. So that was a lot of fun to watch him grow. So I think we got our questions answered. I don't necessarily want to say what they are, but I definitely think that the questions we had and the things we wanted to add to the holster of things you can run on offense and defense, we got those questions answered, and we feel pretty good moving forward. That was a terrible, bland answer, but that's what I got to give you.
Coach, who are some guys who really opened eyes during the 15 spring practices?
Well, obviously, there's the ones that don't surprise you. Obviously watching Caleb play and mature and grow to the next level was fun to see. Watching, we made some movements up front. So watching Caliendo play center, I mean, he's one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. So I wasn't worried, but I still wanted to see him snap, and he did a great job. We moved Wesley French to left tackle, and he did a great job. So those guys stood out just because they were in new positions. I'd say the one guy that was super impressive was Ryan Seelig. He's always been a 2 linebacker for us, a special teams hero for us. He's made every play on special teams, and he's just an unbelievably smart player. He knows the plays. He's one step ahead of everything, to where he's not only doing his job, but helping out, being there, Johnny, on the spot when you need him, and he does a great job of communicating with everyone around him. So he was the one player, I think, in the spring coming out that says, hey, this kid, he's got to play, and he knows what he's doing, and he can play multiple positions. And so that was probably the one. And then obviously Bustle did a great job at corner. You never know when you have a really good feeling that we knew he'd be physical. We knew he'd tackle, but how's he going to learn how to play coverage? And he, from beginning to end, he did a great job. But I would say Seelig would be the one that I think stood out and the most as a player that really had a phenomenal spring.
Any injuries during that stretch that could keep guys out of fall camp?
Not really. Well, one, we had a transfer walk-on come in, named Austin Hentz. Was doing a great job, tight end. Guy that was probably going to see some playing time, who literally in the last practice, hurt his shoulder. So we're going to have to do surgery on that. So he'll probably be medicaled because he's not going to be able to be back in time, but he's really the only one. That's the only injury that happened in the fall or in spring that will affect our fall.
Will
Austin have time after this, or is he done then?
Well, he'll get his medical for this. We'll have to turn that paperwork in, and then he'll have the option of coming back. He was doing a great job. I mean, he made the transition from a Division II school where he was a big 6'4" and a half wide out, but he was 225 pounds. We moved him to tight end, like a Gio. It was kind of like having Giovanni Ricci back as far as the plays you can run and the matchups you can create. And then we got Borski, obviously, and Torres running around. They're bigger guys. So it was nice to be able to bring dust off some of the old Gio plays, and run them in the spring, which was fun. And then he got banged up on literally the last practice. It just fell funny on his shoulder, and we'll get it. I think he has surgery tomorrow, believe it or not, and so he'll hopefully probably be cleared again in December, January, and hopefully we'll have him back for one more year once the paperwork goes through.
What does it mean to have Mike Caliendo come back to your team, after he had, multiple options with the next step in his career?
Mike, it means a ton. I mean, Mike's a leader. He's got a ton of snaps under his belt. And he also, he kind of sets a toughness barometer every single day in practice. He's a tough kid, from Wisconsin, and great family. And, he had a tough decision because he had medical school. He had go be probably a free agent, maybe a late draft, but probably a free agent. Is he going to be okay for the rest of his life, being okay that his senior year was 6 games, and that's a choice. And it's great that the NCAA gave him that choice, because I really thought he was going to go to med school, or be a free agent, but it's his choice. Obviously we'd always welcome back, and he has a lot of, he just decided that he wanted his senior year to be a full year, and it means a ton because he enjoys being a part of the team and being a leader, and wants to help this team win a MAC championship, and so I was pleasantly surprised by that phone call after the end of the year that he decided he wanted to play one more year, and it really made for a lot less shuffling up front. Jalen Moore had a similar decision and decided to go out, and that was a lot of the advice we were getting, is that he had a really good shot at getting drafted pretty high, and has done a great job preparing himself. So really Jalen's the one piece that we have to replace up there, and in an offensive line that I think is pretty good.
Talking about Moore and also Eskridge, you've mentioned that several teams have talked to you about them. What do you think their prospects are for their future, and what does it mean for their program to be sending multiple people to the draft?
It means a ton. I mean, a lot of coaches will stand here and tell you that the lifeblood of their program is recruiting, and I don't believe that. I think it's second. I'm not saying it's not important. Don't get me wrong. I think the growth aspect is the most important. Like, what do you do with players from the time they're 18 to the time they're 22? Because they're all very similar when they come out. One might be a little taller, a little faster, but how much faster do they get? How much weight can you put on them, and how well can you prepare them for the next step? And I think a lot of credit goes obviously out to G2 and our strength staff and what they've done. I mean, D has just gotten faster since we've been here working with G2 and working on his body and getting it functionally moving correctly. And he went from I think the first summer we were here, he ran a 4.48, and then a 4.43, and then a 4.37, and then the pro day he ran a 4.39. You know, and so he just continued to get faster. You know, which is what they want. You know, they don't. Every article you read is about D's speed. You know, and same way with Jalen. So it means a ton, because that's a dream that every single one of our players has, and they should have. That's why we get up and work so darn hard. You know, that you better have that dream of playing. And I want them all to have that. I always say there's 3 things you should want out of a college. You should want a great degree, you should want to grow as a person and as an athlete, and you should want to play on Sundays. And a place that can help you do those 3 things is what we really focus on, you know. And so it's huge. I think both of them, their pro days, they did a great job. But we had 38 different scouts and coaches here, something like that. Might even got to 40, but it was high 30s last I looked. And got great reports on how they both did. I watched them talk to a bunch of scouts that day, and now they're got a lot of calls from coaches now. The coaches that weren't here, as far as little things about the guys, from their personalities to things that I think they do well and stuff like that. And everything I've gotten has been positive. I've got a text from a lot of coaches after their draft meetings, just saying, hey, it was a great meeting. Everyone likes him. And so it's been fun to watch them go through the process. I think they both handle it very well. And now, what is it, a week from today? You know, it starts. You know, the draft starts, and I'm excited to give them the standard Wednesday night phone call for me. You know, wishing them luck and tracking them through the whole draft. And so it's going to be a fun weekend next weekend as we watch those guys. But the work's not done. I always tell them, you know, they're going to get a great opportunity, and then they got to go take advantage of it. And, you know, Bells took advantage of it, and Jariga took advantage of it, and Giovanni Ricci, they're still all on teams going into year 2. And I know Jariga and Bells both were on the active roster pretty much most of the year, you know. So they have work to do after this. It's not the end, it's the beginning of their next step. And so I'm excited for them, and the players are excited. You know, I love watching our players watch pro day, you know, and then watch all the people there to watch these 2 guys, because they all want to get to there. Then they've worked really hard to get to this point, and if they work as hard as those 2 did and do still, they'll get that opportunity too.
Coach, you had a couple of injured guys last season on defense that missed the whole year. That had a major impact on your defense. Zaire Barnes and Theron Coleman. And how are they coming along? And do you anticipate them being ready for the fall?
I do. From my reports I'm getting, is they're both way ahead of the curve right now. We just did. They didn't participate in spring. That would not have been worth it. But they both just ran 40s and shuttles, and Zaire was rolling in his 40. Put up a great time. You know, he's not ready for all the movements and everything we need to do yet, but he had one of our fastest 40s. So both of those guys have been rehabbing together and rehabbing well, and excited to get those 2 back, you know. And then Ollie's getting healthier, and Marshawn Nealon's getting healthier, and Jackson Kincaid's getting healthier. so, and Brooks is getting healthier. So we did have guys, the guys that get hurt in the season, a lot of times they don't get to be a part of spring ball. And it's great because it gives other people an opportunity, so we're never really ones-on-ones in the spring, so yeah, I'm excited about getting Zaire back and Theron back, and they're two integral parts to our defense. And them being gone has forced us to do a lot of things personnel-wise that we may not have to do next year, but we're ready to do it. Our guys are doing a pretty good job of executing, and some of them in different positions, knowing that when those guys come back, you need to have layers of answers. For injury 1, we're good. Injury 2, we're good. Injury 3, we have an answer. We got pretty low on that totem pole last year, in training camp when we lost our Sam and our field corner, because they're kind of very similar players, and they would be answers to each other a lot of times. I'm pretty sure that, Theron could play field safety easily if we moved AJ down. AJ's been playing safety and Sam linebacker. So we have been able to move the pieces around. And that's another reason why Ryan Seelig, having said, because Ryan's super smart, he can play multiple positions. So we're just really trying to, even with the D-line injuries we had, obviously you guys know Corvin Moment played D-end for a game, playing, just kind of stood up and did the best he could. We made some adjustments to that. So if that something like that were to happen again, we can be more disguising in that package, so you're really just trying to layer yourself. So as you get through a season, injuries are going to happen. They happen to everybody, you hopefully it doesn't affect the product till layer 4, 5, or 6, and that's what we're trying to do on both sides. And we got to a pretty thin layer on defense last year, which was frustrating. Because offensively we're pretty much healthy, they all stayed healthy most of the year. We had a couple injuries, but we were able to overcome it. And so you don't talk about that as much. So we're really just trying to get it to where we're ready to make a run in a 12, 13, 14 game season, and you gotta make sure your depth's there. So, and we still have, no one's asked me this question yet, but I know it's coming. We still have 4 transfer spots available. So we're going to continue to go out and get depth and some players that can make a difference for us. And we have a great track record of Theron Coleman, Bryson Garner, Keith Mixon, like all the different guys we brought in, Ladarius Jefferson, Jackson Kincaid, guys that have come in and helped the team. So I'd like our depth right now. And after we get done with this recruiting, we're going to be even stronger.
What's your approach to recruiting transfers? Are you looking to add best talent available, best fit?
Yeah, it's really best talent, but it really needs to be someone that adds to the strength of our depth. You know what I mean? We're looking at, with 4 spots, it doesn't mean we're looking only at 4 positions. You know what I mean? There's certain positions that I know we're going to take, and then there's a couple that it's, we could use with Austin getting hurt, possibly a tight end, possibly another DN, possibly another DB. So we have some flexibility in what that player, because those guys, it's important. We've had 3 years of kind of warming up into this portal world. It had to be a grad transfer, but you learn every time you're in this portal world. And now there's a bunch of guys getting on. And we're just trying to be patient and make sure we get the right guys, because it's really important that when the guys come in, that we put them in a position to have success. I don't want a disgruntled kid in here, and we've done a really good job of making sure the ones we take will fill a role, and we're going to be on the field. And so we have a whole bunch we're looking at. We're not in a hurry by any means. But I think probably in the next month to 6 weeks, because I know a lot of those kids are going to want to be around for the summer. So I think you're going to have a lot of those kids make decisions by the end of May. And so I think really May will be we're not allowed to go out and talk to high school kids in May, but we can really hit the transfer portal hard figure out who those last couple pieces are. And yes, some of them are slotted by position, but some of them are literally the best athlete we can get.
Think of the NCAA's new one.
Can you say that again? You're cutting in and out.
Yeah, what do you think of the NCAA's new one-time free transfer rule? And how do you think it'll?
How do I think it'll affect college football or us?
I guess teams in your situation, like teams in the MAC.
I think that I know one thing about the NCAA is they want standard rules across the whole gamut. You know what I mean? And I think it's really only been basketball and football that haven't had it. I mean, every other sport has had it for a long time. So, I remember talking to Chad, our soccer coach, about, how he approaches it with transfers, because there'll be more transfers now. And I think that the grad transfer thing was really nice because you had kids that had graduated, and had done the job and got their degree done. And there's a certain amount of integrity to a kid who's finished his degree. We brought in a lot of really mature people, and a lot of the transfers we're looking at are grad transfers, because we've had so much success with it. You just have to make sure you do your research, because there's people on the portal that weren't good enough to play where they're at, and there's ones that just got behind a really good player. Happens all the time, and so I think the biggest thing is having great relationships with the coaches across the country. Being able to pick up the phone and call their coach and ask about the young man and what he's like, and you can find out everything you need to know. And every guy we brought in, we've been able to talk to a coach and find out a little bit about the kid and why he's leaving and he wants to play. Bryson Garner is a perfect example, who was a 2, great player, wanted to be a starter, came here, was first team all conference, and Coach Narduzzi and Coach Sanders, who used to be our DP coach here, kind of let us in on all that stuff. So I think the fact that guys that get stuck behind players or get passed by younger players have a chance to go live out their dream is a good thing. And there'll be some guys that just chase it, or they get on the portal when they're not supposed to, too. So I think it's going to be fair across the board. I think if guys are really enjoying your culture, you're not going to and enjoy being on the team and have fun working together. I don't think you're going to have those teams with a ton of guys in there. Everyone's going to have some, but I think if you do a good job running your program, you're not going to have mass exodus, because there are some places that are having mass exodus. And now we're running into, the NCAA is going to run into rules issues with 25 hard cap. If you have 20 seniors and you have 20 guys leave your program, so you have 40 scholarships, you can only sign 25 more guys. So now you're playing with 15 less scholarships. So you're playing with 70. So I'm sure we'll have to massage the rules to get it to make sense for everybody, so people can still feel a competitive team. But I think all in all, it was headed this way. I think we all knew it was headed this way. I think the college coaches in America have accepted that it's been happening for about a year and a half. And we finally just got past. Like we've all mentally, we're over it. We're ready to move forward, and to know that it's final. And, I don't think it's a shocker for anybody because we all knew it was coming.
You talked a little bit about the dead period ending earlier, but how important is that to start getting, especially the class of 2022, onto campus with how tumultuous their high school careers and recruiting processes have gone?
Yeah, I mean, the last year or 15 months for everybody has been crazy, right? And these kids, there's something to be said for being able to see a kid. I was 6'2" in the program, and I'm not 6'2". At the combine, I was 6'1.5", but on the program, I was 6'2". So, having the chance to bring them on campus, having a chance to watch them work out, I am a big believer in film. Like, the film doesn't lie. But that doesn't mean you don't check off the other boxes of, is the kid long enough to play tackle? He says he's 6'6", but he's really 6'3", and so, beating with them face to face, this virtual space has been amazing for recruiting. I've had a chance to talk to a ton of recruits when normally I used to talk to them on the phone, but seeing them and their mom and their dad and the dog in the background, like having a chance to do some of that has been really beneficial. And I think it's something that will change recruiting forever because we will use it as long as they allow us to. But it's huge for us to be able to get back out and see these kids on campus, for them to come see like these. I'm going to finally be able to bring in our class that we just signed. They're finally going to come to campus. I'm going to meet them face to face, and they're already signed. They're coming, So the fact that they can come on campus and sit with us, knowing that they're going to show up, I think our freshmen show up on June 28th or something like that. But we're going to bring them in early in June just so we can meet them and shake their hands. And a lot of them have been on campus because admissions has been doing tours, but they haven't been allowed in this building. We've been a bubble. So in the fall and in last spring, when whenever we were open for admissions, they were still able to come and have tours. So they came and had tours. A lot of them have been here, but I have not met them face to face. So the relationship element between player and coach is so important. And now that we're going to be able to get back to that, is huge for us and huge for the recruits. And I'm sure it won't be normal. There'll be rules and we'll have to wear a mask. And I mean, we'll do it. We'll follow the rules, but it'll be better than what they've been accustomed to for the last 15 months. So it's exciting. I think everyone's excited about it. And it's once June 1st it's going to be crazy. I'm sure 15 months of no visits are all going to be packed into that month of June. So it's going to be a lot of people and it'll be exciting to get back to some normalcy.
As you fill out your roster, coach, are you going to, do you anticipate doing that soon with these transfer portal dudes, or you're waiting for the end of semester to end, or how does that?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry. Can you ask that again?
On the transfer portal guys that you hope to add in addition to the two that you already brought in, Nunley and Ozzy. By the way, when will they come in? Or are they already here?
Bryce will be here soon. Bryce will be here probably in May at some point. Ozzy, we're dealing with an injury and a surgery, so he might be in. We got some stuff to figure out. So I don't know exactly when he'll be here. The other guys, it all depends on when they make their decisions. Most of them that I've talked to want to be here in the summer, and our guys have discretionary time in May where they're just here lifting. And then we really crank up the football in June, with required team activities in June, although most of our guys are in the weight room here in May anyway. So, we most of them will want to be here by early June, so I think a lot of them are just getting on right now. Those that just had faith that this thing was going to pass, they all hopped on it in January. And now that it's officially passed, there's been more guys that have hopped on the portal in the last 4 days than since January. We're talking like 15 a night, and we download it every day. And so it's kind of just starting. And I think it's going to be about a 5-week craziness, a lot of Zoom calls. I got one tonight at 9:00. And we're going to, because it's just kind of speeding up again. So I think by the end of May, a lot of those kids, now they don't have to make their decision they could go till July and make their decision if they wanted to. But I think most of them, because they want to get in and learn and give themselves a chance to compete in August, being here in the summer puts them in a great position. So I really think across the board, you're going to see it go from now till maybe middle of June, first week of June, and you're going to see where a lot of the dust settles and where people are going, and then they'll start showing up and working out, and it'll be great. It'll be great additions. And then the other thing that no one talks about is every year I get excited when we go to training camp, because it's like, feel good about your team, your strengths, your weaknesses, you love your depth, hopefully by then. And there's going to be one or two of those freshmen. You have no clue who they are that's going to be ready to play. And so you only have positive things. You just wait to see which freshman makes a difference, And so I'm excited about those 19 guys when they get here, because I guarantee one or two of them make a difference next year. They always do, So on top of what we have, the super seniors coming back, plus the transfers we add, then you add those 19 young bucks, and a couple of them are going to be ready to go and help us. So that's always a fun part of watching those guys when they get here in July, of which ones, late June, early July, which ones are gonna add depth, and maybe a difference on special teams or a returner, or so that's gonna be exciting too.
Final
Coach,
question for me.
I was just going to ask quickly, Coach, or is that you? Go ahead. Oh, I was going to ask if you've done any game planning for your first
Okay.
game.
We start Monday. Yes, we will. These next 4 weeks, we will take for each of our first 4 opponents and start breaking them down. So we will take next week. Offensive, they don't have to go in the same order. However the offense wants to do it, defense wants to do it. I will sit in. It's fun for me to sit in on both sides of that thing. So we will start breakdowns, which we normally do in June. We're going to do it in May now, because normally all my coaches would be gone right now. They'd be gone for a month, but they're here. So we're going to start breaking down our first 4 opponents, non-league opponents, in the next month. We'll spend time during the week. So we have a very good game plan of what we'd like to do for our team currently. And then when we come in on Sunday, getting ready for the game in 6 days, you pull out what you did in the summer and say, okay, this is what we liked. Let's watch this year's film. Let's see if we still like it. Do we have anything we're better at that we thought that we want to add and massage it? It really does save time that first couple weeks, because you already have a preliminary game plan of things that you think will work well against that defense or that offense. So yeah, that starts Monday. Pat, you had a question.
Coach, last question for me. Yep. So you talked about how culture can go a long way to keeping your kids out of the transfer portal. Are you at all concerned, though, that the new free transfer rule could possibly take a group of 5 team that does the scouting and finds a hidden gem, and they might lose a kid like that after a year or two,
Yeah, it can happen. I mean, it can happen. So the thing about it is if these kids truly want to go to the NFL, and we can show that we've done a heck of a job in the last 10 years of putting people there at a lot higher clip than many Power 5 teams. So they could. I mean, but here's the deal: there are guys on our program that I think could play anywhere in the country. I know there's also players at Power 5 schools that can definitely help us here. So it's definitely something that could happen. I think it's been happening in other sports. I think if guys are excited about what they're doing, I think if they're having success and they see their path to their future, and they enjoy their teammates and the building they're in, I think you'll have a lot less players, but there's definitely going to be players that move, that hop in and move up, but I think the culture you have and the success you're having in helping them accomplish their dreams, like what's going to happen next Thursday for 2 of our players, that's the ultimate goal. And when guys know that they can accomplish that here, I think you have less at those schools. But I'm also not ignorant to think that people are going to go, so it is what it is. I think it'll put a lot of pressure on, teams that aren't doing it right. You're going to see mass chaos at some places. In other places, it'll just be a slight adjustment to the way you're doing things. You lose a couple guys here and there, and the proof will be in the pudding, So, I mean, we have 2 guys that got on the portal that are going to go down. I love them, great players. They wanted to play more. and they knew they had to go down to do it. And that's what it's made for, you know? I mean, Luke Sanders, I love Luke Sanders. He made so many plays on special teams for us, and he wasn't going to be a wideout, and he knew it, and he couldn't put the weight on to be a tight end. We were hoping he would grow into Geo, but he never did. And he was appreciative of us giving him the opportunity to play tight end. And the fact that he's going to graduate here, get on the portal, go to another school, hopefully be a dude and have a great career there, 1 or 2 years. I think he has 2 years because of the COVID year now. You know, I'm excited for him, you know, so it's going to work and really help a lot of players. And yes, it's definitely going to change teams if you lose key pieces, you know, and team coaches are going to have depth and be ready for that.
Coach, you've got a really veteran team in your playing core, really your top players on offense and defense. Most of them are very experienced. In your conversation with their fellow coaches in the Mid-American Conference, are they in the same situation? For instance, Ball State, I mean, they had an old team last year. If all those dudes come back, I mean, they're going to be older than the Detroit Lions.
True. I think most of them are coming back. I think they lost that running back and they lost the corner. I think the quarterback's back. I mean, Plitt's back. I think their receivers are back. I think they lost maybe their big, tall receiver might have gone somewhere. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think you're seeing that across the board. You know, that you got I'm calling them super seniors. I don't know if that's a real word. I made it up. But we have 12 of them, 12 super seniors that are deciding to come back and play one more year. And so I think you're going to have that across the board. You know, some guys, and we have 2 that are going to the NFL. I get that. But I think you're going to have that across the board in football. You're going to have a lot of veteran teams, guys that also have a chance that, hey, 4 years I got my degree. My 5th year I was going to get half of my master's done. Oh my God, I can get an MBA. Like I can finish my master's, you know, which is an unbelievable way to look at things, you know. So it's going to be I think you're going to see that. You'll be announced in the games. I think you're going to see a lot of upperclassmen in the 2 deep at every school next year, you know. And I don't think it's just us, but I think it's everywhere. You're going to have a lot of those veterans. Any other questions?
One last one for me, Coach. Yeah. Sean Tyler got off to a great start last year, and then he had an ankle. Did he go through spring ball for him?
He did. I don't know if I would say he was 100%, you know, it just takes time to heal. And, but man, he looked good. I mean, watching him run the ball again. I mean, him and Ladarius together, you know, is quite a 1-2 punch. And I mean, Jackson averaged 7 yards a carry. He had the highest yards per carry of all of them, you know, Kincaid. So, he had shoulder surgery. I mean, he was just gutting it out at the end of the year against Ball State. He was running the ball and trying not to lower his shoulder. You know, he's just tough, you know. So, and he's another guy. He's so excited to be able to finish his master's. You know, he gets to come back. He was a senior last year. He gets another year back. So I definitely think we're going to have, with Sean healthy and Ladarius just getting better and better and better, and Jackson back. I mean, we're going to have 3 back there that are as good as anyone we're going to see in the league. So it's nice to have that depth. We had that a couple years ago, and then there's the 1 year we really had Bells, and Bells was the main guy. And then Sean kind of came on the scene there, and now we're back to having the type of running back core that we can hopefully do some things with, you know.